Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking Google's massive new real estate move and how it's creating a total ripple effect across the entire housing industry. If you follow the real estate market or the tech space, you already know that when a giant like Google makes a move, it's literally never just about one single product. It's usually this unexpected plot twist that signals a fundamental shift in how information actually flows. So today, we're going to look at the exact mechanics of their nationwide listing ads expansion, the huge controversy it sparked, and ultimately what it means for the future of how we all find our next home. So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with Google's Shockwave, look at whether they're actually breaking IDX rules, dive into the AI search revolution, assess the threat to traditional portals, and finally, we'll see how local brokerages are actually taking back control. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Google's real estate shockwave and their nationwide listing ads expansion.
So Google recently expanded its real estate listing ads nationwide, and this follows a pilot program they launched back in late 2025. Right out of the gate, this caused a massive stir. The industry was basically scrambling to figure out, wait, where's Google suddenly getting all this highly specific local housing data? I mean, they aren't out there knocking on doors for it, right? Instead, they're piping it in through a company called House Canary. And House Canary has partnered with major regional databases, specifically the California Regional MLS, the San Diego MLS, and My State MLS. By tapping into these massive pipelines, Google can surface active, super accurate listings directly into their ad network. What? As we're about to see, this specific data pipeline is exactly what ignited the current firestorm.
Which brings us to Section 2, breaking the IDX rules. Let's talk about the controversy surrounding licensing.
Now, to understand why this is causing such immediate legal friction among industry insiders, we really have to look at the absolute bedrock of online real estate. I'm talking about the IDX, or Internet Data Exchange. For years, this has been strictly a reciprocal agreement. Basically, it allows cooperating brokerages to display each other's listings on their own websites. The whole philosophy was kind of like, hey, I'll show your listings to my clients if you show my listings to your clients. It was designed as this cooperative, friendly ecosystem to help sell homes faster. What it was absolutely not designed for was to act as a blanket data feed for third-party tech giants to monetize.
And managing attorney Mark Sterbkow actually highlights this core issue perfectly. He points out that taking a reciprocal handshake agreement between local brokers and suddenly turning it into paid media inventory on a global ad network, well, that fundamentally breaks the original intent. The moment a listing becomes a Google ad, the IDX is basically transformed into a commercial advertising product. Sterbkow calls this a complete seismic shift in the entire industry, mainly because it pushes listing data so much further downstream into the consumer search process than anyone ever actually agreed to.
Moving on to Section 3, the AI search revolution and the macro tech paradigm shift.
You see, the controversy over these data rules is really just the surface level. Underneath all of that is a massive paradigm shift driven entirely by artificial intelligence. Think about the old way we used to do things. You'd search homes for sale, and Google would basically give you a list of legacy blue links leading you to external portals. And that used to be the whole transaction. But to protect its territory from the erosion of that traditional model, Google is completely shifting its approach. Now they are capturing consumer intent directly. So instead of sending you away to another site, AI-powered search allows Google to surface the actual listings right there on the search page. They are monetizing those leads before you ever even get a chance to click away.
Amit Kulkarni of Alloy Advisors sums up these implications perfectly. He says, Google isn't just trying to build a better website to compete in the traditional portal wars. No, they are effectively moving the entire battlefield upstream. They're changing the game entirely to intercept the home buyer at the very first moment of intent. Simply put, they are owning the absolute start of the funnel.
This naturally leads us to Section 4, the threat to portals and the casualties of the ripple. Because, think about it, if Google intercepts the buyer first, the immediate threat lands squarely on those massive legacy portals, the ones that have spent years and literally millions of dollars optimizing their websites to rank high on search. What happens to their business models if Google just doesn't need to link to them anymore? Well, it's not going to be an overnight catastrophe. To put it into perspective, Zillow gets about 80% of its traffic organically. Because of that massive brand awareness and the fact that Google's new product currently lacks full national coverage and is heavily mobile-focused, well, these portals still have a pretty good buffer of domain expertise for now. However, you really can't ignore the warnings from industry analysts who point out that Google is absolutely playing the long game here. The real danger lies in the revenue source. Google is targeting the exact same buyer agent lead generation budgets as those big portals.
Programs like Zillow Flex rely completely on capturing top-of-funnel traffic and then selling those leads to buyer agents. If Google successfully captures that traffic earlier on, it directly and permanently erodes the portal's share of the pie over time.
So you're probably wondering who actually takes the biggest hit here. Well, analysts point out a stark divide in how different companies are going to weather this storm. A massive player like Zillow is highly exposed to the downside precisely because its monetization relies so heavily on those buyer agent leads. In stark contrast, CoStar's Homes.com feels far less impact. Why is that? Because their business model is oriented toward listing agents instead. When you understand exactly where a company makes its money, it becomes crystal clear who is most threatened by Google acting as this new digital toll booth.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, Brokerages Take Back Control, and the surprising victors in all of this.
Because while the massive portals are starting to sweat, this disruption is actually creating a massive opportunity for the ultimate originators of the data, the local brokerages themselves. For years, brokerages have complained about big portals profiting off their hard-won data. But now, the power dynamic is totally flipping. By utilizing new tools like Cotality's Broker Listing Exchange, brokerages now have a mechanism to bypass those traditional middlemen entirely. They can literally plug their data directly into Google's vast network, reaching a massive national audience without having to rely on a legacy portal at all.
And this ultimately comes down to one thing: leverage. As Kulkarni notes, brokers can finally start to dictate who uses their data and exactly for what purposes. The agents out there doing the heavy lifting, the ones actually winning listings from sellers, they finally have a way to control the destiny of that data. They can ensure it actually benefits their own business, rather than just feeding some third-party portal's algorithm. It's a real game changer.
And look, as AI search inevitably becomes the absolute standard, these AI companies are going to need clean, accurate, direct data. And where will they get it? They'll likely buy it straight from the brokerages themselves. Mark Sturpkow predicts this is going to trigger a massive leveling of the playing field across the entire United States. Whether you are a huge national franchise or just a small boutique firm, your data has tremendous value. Soon consumers will be able to surface all available inventory through AI, completely regardless of the size of the brokerage that holds the listing.
So we've tracked this ripple from Google's initial ads all the way down to the local broker's desk. And it is incredibly clear that AI is reshaping not just how we search the internet, but the underlying economics of massive multi-billion-dollar industries. As this incredible shift continues to unfold in the housing market, I want to leave you with one final thought to take away. In a world where legacy portals lose their grip and AI systems intercept us at the very moment of our intent, who will really own your front door? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.